Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? What we're going to be talking about today is something that has not been seen since the Great Depression, and that is the demand for cardboard boxes. I know it's not something that you would think of, but it's the truth. So demand and output for cardboard boxes and other packaging material fell sharply in the fourth quarter of 2022. And according to data that was released by the American Forest and Paper Association and Fiber Box Association, and it's the latest indicator that consumer demand is eroding following the pandemic. Dwindling savings, inflation, rising interest rates, and fears of a recession may all be swaying consumers to spend less. Such pressures would show up in the humble box industry, which serves as an excellent barometer, if you will, for the larger economy. And practically everything that we consume and use spends some time in a box, ranging from online orders to food sent to a grocery store, right? Now that graph that I just showed you was actually a graph that shows what boxes and shipments have plunged at a rate not seen since the Great Depression, okay? And U.S. box shipments fell by 8.4% in the fourth quarter, according to the Fiber Box Association. And Key Blanc's Adam Josephson, who leads the bank's analysis of the packaging industry, wrote in a Sunday note that this was the most severe quarterly decline since the great financial crisis of when? 2009. Now, here is another graph that I'm going to put up for you. And this is inventories of container board in the U.S. that are usually high, all right? Now, U.S. box operating rates actually fell to 80.9%, the Fiber Box Association said, which was also a low last seen in the first quarter of 2009. Now, this nearly means that 20% of the U.S. capacity to produce boxes was very stagnant last quarter. Supply of container board, which is used to make corrugated boxes, stood at 4.3 weeks. And that is according to the American Forest and Paper Association. And that's down from last quarter, but still it's historically high. Now this graph that I'm going to show you is inventories of container boards in the U.S. that are usually high, all right? Now the American Forest and Paper Association reported that another type of packing material called the box board has its lowest operating rate in its 5-year record during 2022's fiscal year. Boxboard is typically thinner than cardboard and it lacks air pockets. Box demand normally sees modest upticks of about 1% to 2% each and every year. But government stimulus and the shift from service to goods demand from 2020 to 2021 shocked box demand into some of its fastest growth in history, and prices rose as much as 55% through this time. A hangover, if you will, after a years-long cardboard carnival would be in order, and this looks actually pretty nasty if you ask me. The end of 2022 in the packaging world had echoes of the great financial crisis everywhere you look. What's more, significant capacity, that is, more facilities that produce packaging materials, is set to enter the market through the next several years, and it's a tricky time for more packaging production to open up, given the shaky outlook for demand and falling consumer spending. Now, inflationary pressures on consumers have also added to the problem by reducing the consumer's discretionary spending capabilities. And in addition, consumer behavior changed very quickly as we exited the CV period, right? Resulting in more of preference toward travel, entertainment, and experience versus that of tangible goods, okay? And container board and box demand continues to be negatively impacted from the deterioration in U.S. and global economic conditions, rising interest rates, and a cooler housing market. Now, executives maintain that the demand in 2023 still appear healthy compared to pre-CV times. The forecast for shipments are around 6% higher in the first quarter of 2023 compared to the same period in 2019, and this is on a per day basis. Now, many of the industries that saw a wild demand during the pandemic are now crashing, like container shipping, used cars, home building. A downturn after wild upswing isn't particularly shocking, though. What's troublesome is that executives grew or made plans. They got ahead of themselves, pretty much, to grow in response to this unprecedented demand. An increase in supply will further drive down already plummeting prices. In the cardboard world, yes, there is such a thing. In the cardboard world, for example, more than 2 million tons per year of additional card or container board output is coming to the North American market. Ocean containers or carriers expect to add a record-breaking number of new container ships through the next 2 years, and nearly 60 real estate firms, most of which expanded payrolls during the pandemic, have already had to lay off more than 13,000 workers through 2022 and 2023. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are requests for truckload services were slightly up in late January of 2023 compared to the same period in 2019 and 2020, and that's a chipper indicator for goods in demand. And the Fed's offensive on inflation has appeared to slow the rate of price increases without halting an unusually strong job market. Payrolls across the U.S., they remain historically strong with an unemployment rate of just around 3.5%. So that's all for this video, guys. Okay, I will see you in the next one. You stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fear less. Ciao.